Hello YouTube, Dave here again. Welcome to part 3 of my Starfinder product showcase series, where I just try to do what I can to raise awareness of some of the great Starfinder products that are out there. If you're interested, you can check these out at your local game store or wherever you purchase your gaming goods. So yeah, we got some really cool stuff here today. We've taken a look at the sort of the core rules and the rules expansions in the first video. The second video, we took a look at the Alien Archives as well as the Interstellar Species book. So you had a whole host of bizarre creatures. Today, we're taking a look at campaign setting material. The Starfinder RPG is a science fiction, science fantasy role-playing game, and there are some really unique locations for you to be able to explore. So we got 4 books here today that we are going to be taking a look at. And the first one is going to be the Pact Worlds book. So the Pact Worlds system, which is the system right here that you see on the inside cover of most of the Starfinder books that have been released. Not all, but most of them. This is sort of the default campaign setting for the Starfinder RPG, and a lot, especially of the early Starfinder Adventure Pass would take place in the Pact World system. You have, of course, Absalon Station, which is where the world of Galarian was originally orbiting before the gap occurred, which is a period in time in which just all history and information and knowledge has just been completely mysteriously lost. And that coincided with the disappearance of the world of Galarian, but the appearance of Absalon Station, just sort of in orbit where the world of Galarian would be. But there's some really cool planets and locations here to explore, and the very first adventure path, which we might be taking a look at in the next video in this series, they did a good job of sort of using a lot of the Pact World system, so you travel through the Pact Worlds quite a bit to some very, again, some interesting locations. So you have the planet of Castrovel, which is sort of like a jungle type of planet or a forest type of planet. This is, I think, the ancestral home of elves, sort of the planet that came from, or that they came to Galarian from at the very least. So you have there, you have Eox, which is a planet populated almost exclusively by undead creatures. And, they're not necessarily evil, but they're probably evil. And then they have sort of, they look at like living creatures almost kind of like a livestock type of thing. They don't really view them in the highest regards. And the planet itself is quite harsh as far as conditions are concerned. So, the inhabitants are undead for a reason. And then you also have Octurne there, and that is essentially like a place straight out of Lovecraft. And there's very bizarre creatures. I believe the concept behind that is almost that it's a living planet, like the planet is an old one that just hasn't awakened yet. But yeah, really, really cool stuff. I absolutely love the Pact World system here. And again, you get all kinds of cool stuff here. You get some different information on the different worlds, the different planets. You have Akaton, which is kind of like Mars. It's sort of like a red planet, fourth from the sun kind of thing. But yeah, lots of really cool stuff there. There's Eox with like the undead. A lot of like bone structures work their way into Eox's architecture. And they do have an outcast military force known as the Corpse Fleet, which the rulers of Eox absolutely swear that they have nothing to do with, but I guess it's up to you as the game master to determine just how true that really is. And then again, we've got some different factions. Then we got, like I said, we got Octurne here. Just again, very bizarre type of planet, and I absolutely love it. Like I said, it definitely feels like something straight out of Lovecraft. So this is the default campaign setting where most of the adventures will take place, and this is an absolutely fantastic book, which retails for $44.99. I want to say that there's a pocket edition of this as well, but I'm not 100% sure. I'm painfully behind in my Starfinder Pocket Edition books. But this is definitely worth picking up if you are looking to run Starfinder. Or, again, a lot of these books, you can take the ideas, the flavor, text, you can take basically everything except for the rules themselves and drop them into any science fiction or science fantasy RPG that you want to create. So, Again, awesome stuff there. Like, for example, on Castrovel, you have like the Elf Gates, which some Pathfinder adventures have also focused on, but they're like teleportation gates. We've seen stuff like that, like in Star Trek, the Next Generation, as well as Deep Space Nine. So you can take, like I said, aspects of these and drop them into any science fiction or science fantasy RPG. But there we have Packed Worlds. The next one that we have here is Near Space. And Near Space is, again, it's a really cool resource book, but it details the Veskarium. So the Vesk are these individuals here, sort of this reptilian race of lizard people. So they have like their solar system there, which they creatively just title each planet by the number that it is in orbit. So you have Vesk Prime, which is the closest to their sun, then Vesk 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. And the Vesk themselves are pretty mean in terms of their history. So they settled their solar system by essentially wiping out other species that lived there so that they could sort of become the dominant force. They didn't necessarily just eliminate every culture other than their own, although I think on Vesk Prime they certainly kind of did. But anyway, I love the Vesk, and so the Veskarium and the Pact World system, they do have a history of conflict with one another, but they also did form an alliance when the Swarm attacked sort of both places around at the same time. But yeah, you got some really cool planets here. But in addition to the Veskarium, you also do have a few other just worlds that are detailed, that are just sort of like random worlds that your player characters can travel to. And again, you got some cool stuff here as well. Just some, like I said, I've always said this, and I love the creativity that goes into a lot of these Starfinder products. But again, if you want to sort of branch out from the Pact Worlds, this is a great book to get because it gives you one of its closest neighboring solar systems, as well as a few other really cool planets to explore. So we got the Near Space and the Pact World system. Up next, we have the Galaxy Exploration Manual, which I don't think I covered in the first video. I have a really bad memory, so if I did, I apologize for double dipping, but I think I wanted to say this for this one here. And the Galaxy Exploration Manual, I mean, amongst other things, it does have some player character options, which most of these books will have something for player characters, like new options for the different classes. But this book is essentially a system for creating your own unlimited number, basically, of worlds. So it has the rules and guidelines for creating your own planets, your own cultures, and stuff like that. And that actually ties in really well with the Starfinder Deck of Many Worlds, which I've done a video for previously, but I will be touching on that again when I get to some of the really cool Starfinder accessories. But yeah, so this is essentially, it's not laying out like a bunch of like solar systems or, you know, star systems or anything like that, but it gives you some guidelines on essentially what you can do, how you can create your own, so you can just manufacture your own worlds. And yeah, again, I absolutely love this. So this is a really useful tool, especially for those that really love to homebrew and come up with their own stuff. These are just some great guidelines and some ideas for those types of games. So we've got the Galaxy Exploration Manual. I'll put that over here. And then finally, this is the latest Starfinder book and an absolute favorite of mine. This is Ports of Call. So, and again, like we forgot with the other books, there are new options for player characters, new options for the classes that Starfinder has, and all of that. But my favorite part of this book would have to be, I think it's like 10 or so or near a dozen different just locations for your characters to spend time in. These aren't whole worlds, but these are essentially like ports that they would stop at, either as like a layover during a long journey, or it might just be a place that they're visiting for just to get away from where they normally are. But it gives you some really cool Gazetteer style entries for a series of, like I said, just sort of like ports to explore. And some storyline elements that you can build on to create your own adventures or even campaigns. Information on the locals and what their relationships might be with other cultures and worlds, or even just their, you know, their relationships with each other within their own cities. Just really, really cool stuff. And they've got some really interesting locations. There's Drifter's End, which is on Absalom Station, which is essentially kind of like the like sort of a seedy, like kind of like, think of like the cantina, I guess, from like Star Wars. It's kind of like a hive of scum and villainy, but it's a good place for characters sort of begin their adventuring careers at. But then they have, like I said, my absolute favorite location would be Galarian World. So this is it's a port. It's sort of a destination that people can travel to, and it's a theme park based on the world of Galarian. So this is, I don't know, it's just, I love this. I love the idea of like mascots of various NPCs, like important figures from Galarian's past. Like they've got one here of the Whispering Tyrant, which is one of the most notorious villains in all of Galarian's history. And they have him here as like just this adorable-ish looking mascot. And I just love it. I love the idea of like a theme park based on a campaign setting. And it works. And like, so each of these locations will also have like rules elements to add, like feats or spells or equipment. And for Galarian World, they have soft drinks that are basically like potions that do different things. It's just, I don't know, it's just really cool. They have like Last of the Wall Lemon, Maguani Mint, Orsarian Orange, the Cheliax Cherry, and you can also win a Potbelly Boulet. So you can get like a little pet friend if you win some stuff, win some games at Galarian Land. But they also have like different adventure paths and stuff like that as well, including maybe some of these villains being reawakened based off of the actions that take place at the theme park. But yeah, just a really cool book, and just a great way, again, to add some flavor to your campaign setting. You can just pick one of these. Say the characters get into a space combat and their ship is damaged. They need a place to set down to enact repairs. Maybe bust out this book, and like this could be one of the nearest locations to them. Then you could even spawn a whole other little adventure for them to go on while they're waiting for their repairs to be completed. So again, just some awesome books here, and some great options for really fleshing out your Starfinder adventures, your Starfinder campaigns. Just some absolutely awesome books here. And again, I can't recommend each of these enough. I think that these are fantastic products. And again, if you're going to be running, even again, if you're just running a science fiction or science fantasy role-playing game, even if it's not Starfinder, the ideas, the flavor, the concepts in these books would work really well for other systems as well. So it's definitely worth checking out, even if you're not necessarily running Starfinder. But hopefully, if you do pick this up and you do like what you see here, that it might spark a little bit of an interest to check out the actual full game, because Starfinder, again, it's an awesome game that I do feel flies a little bit too much under the radar. So I'm hoping to spread some awareness for it. But yeah, these books are absolutely awesome and definitely worth checking out. Anyway, thank you all so very much for watching. Let me know in the comments below if you run or played Starfinder. What is your favorite planet or world that you have traveled to? So I'm looking forward to reading your guys' responses in the comments. You always have some really cool, really cool stories to tell. Anyway, thank you once again for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you all next time. Until then, take care.